In this video, I'm going to show you a really simple setup that I keep using over and over again to generate consistent profits when I trade with prop firm. And I'm confident that once I show you exactly how to identify it and how to use it, you're gonna be able to replicate and to make consistent gains. I'm currently inside my Ola Prime $50,000 one-step account, and as you can see, currently the account balance is just above $53,000. If I keep scrolling down, you can see my equity curve and the balance of the account has been growing steadily. There were a few moments where I had some losing trades, but overall the account has been growing. And more specifically, in this video, I'm gonna focus on these Euro USD trades because I was able to generate a bit over $300 using this exact setup that I'm about to explain you. I'm currently inside my Mage Trader account with Ola Prime, and personally I really like this trading platform because they allow me to use the trading view chart. In fact, as you can see here, trading view is currently turned on, and so this means that I can use all the drawing tool for this trading platform and also their indicator. What you're seeing right now is the trade that I showed you before and that has generated a bit over $300. This was my entry point and this was my exit point. This is a 5-minute chart, so this means that every single candle that you see represents 5 minutes, and the logic behind this trade was really simple. So first of all, I identified that we were in a downtrend. To do so, you just need to look at the lows and the highs of the price. So as you can see here, we had a high, here we had a low, next we have a lower high, then we have a lower low, then we have another lower high. So this means that we are in a downtrend, and so that's why I draw this trend line. At this point, as you can see, we created a support. I waited for the support to be broken, and then once there was a retest, this was my trigger to enter the trade. In fact, as you can see, once this wick touched the support that now had become a resistance, I decided to enter the trade. And then I simply waited for price to keep going down following the downtrend. In fact, as you can see, we started going down. Here we had another support that was broken and there was another retest. To be honest with you, this could also have been a good opportunity to enter another trade or to add to this position that we already had open, but I decided to stay conservative and I kept the trade exactly as it was. A few minutes later, as you can see, price kept going down, and once we get at this level, this could have been a good opportunity to close the trade and to bag all the profits that we have generated. But again, I decided to stay in the trade because technically the downtrend was still not broken. We were in the middle of the London session and the New York session, and so there was still some volatility in the market, and I thought that the price could have continued going down. For a few minutes, actually a couple of hours, as you can see, we enter inside a range. In fact, the price get to this high, then went to a low that was at the same level of the previous one, and we stayed inside the range. At this point, there was a breakout, and here this could have been a good moment to exit the trade. In fact, to be honest with you, if this candle had closed above my trend line, this would have been a sign that the trend was about to change, and so I would have closed my trade. But fortunately, as you can see, there was only a wick above the trend line, but then the candle actually closed almost inside the range, and so I saw this as another bearish sign. And in fact, as you can see, shortly after, the price started going down again, and at this point I decided to close the trade for two main reasons. Number one is because we have already been inside this trade for quite a bit of time, and most importantly because we were about at the end of the New York session, and so my prediction was that the volatility and the liquidity on the market, it was probably going to dry up. And in fact, as you can see, for the next few hours, the market was basically sideways and there was no considerable movement. And so looking back, this was actually a really good moment to close the trade. Of course, I would have kept it a bit longer and actually close here at the very bottom, but as you know, it's really hard to time the market, and so I think that closing the trade here was actually a pretty good trade. In fact, as you've seen, I was able to generate a bit more than $300. So as you can see, this setup is pretty easy and is actually, I think, perfect for beginners because you just need to understand trends and support and resistance. In fact, the three simple steps that you need to follow are: number one, identify the trend. So in this case, we identified that we were in a downtrend. Number two, identify a support and wait until it is broken. In our case, this is our support and this is the moment where it was broken. And number three, wait until there is a retest of that support that now has become a resistance, and that's your trigger to enter the trade. And as you can see, that's exactly what we did. Of course, this same setup can also be used during an uptrend. In this specific case, first you need to identify the uptrend, then you need to wait for the resistance to be broken, and after that wait until there is a retest of the resistance that has now switched to a support, and that's your trigger to enter the trade and to ride the trend. At that point, once you are inside the trade, it's just about managing it. In fact, as I was telling you before, for example here I could have opened another trade, or I could have added to this specific position. Here I had an opportunity to close the trade, but I decided to stay. Of course, the management is gonna be subjective based on your experience, the pair that you are trading, the time of the day, the price actions, so there are a lot of variables when it comes to the management. But the actual trigger to enter the trade, as you can see, is pretty simple, and once you understand it, even if you're a beginner, you're gonna be able to execute it successfully. By the way, if you also would like to trade using Ola Prime, which in my opinion is currently one of the best prop firms on the market, you can do so by clicking the first link in the video description, and once you get at the checkout page, if you use the discount code STKTRD, like you see right now on the screen, you are always going to receive a 10% discount on all your challenges, no matter the size of the purchase. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like, and until next time, happy trades!